Welcome to Get to Know, the podcast that brings you creative careers unfiltered. I'm Morgan Williams, producer, art director, and your host. And I started this podcast because I was meeting brilliant people in the industry but had no idea what their job titles really meant. Each episode, I sit down with photographers, designers, creative directors, content creators, and more to unpack what their jobs really involve, the glam bits, the graft, and the everything in between. This is season 2 with brand new guests, panel episodes, and more honest conversations. I'm so pleased to be able to say that this season is sponsored by Capture One, the industry standard software for photographers. And if you're new here, season 1 is waiting for you. My guest today is an executive producer with a sharp eye for detail, a love for brand storytelling, and a reputation for delivering big, beautiful campaigns. She first discovered production while working on the brand side at Mamas and Papas, but quickly realised her talent for pulling shoots together, managing creatives, and making things happen. Now she runs her own agency and has worked with major names including Cloud9, Neom, and Beauty Bay. From building relationships with freelancers to landing dream projects, we're getting into the real world of production, the power of curiosity, and what it takes to build a brilliant career behind the scenes. Let's get to know Jen Spence. Before we dive in, a quick favour. If you're enjoying the pod, please hit subscribe. It's completely free, helps more people like you discover the show, and means I can keep bringing you honest, inspiring chats with some of the most exciting creatives out there. Thanks so much. Now, let's get into it. So Jen, you are a producer. Could you give me like a top line sum up of what that means to you? Because I know that it's quite different for different types of producers.
Yeah. So the best analogy that I ever heard was by someone on set, and they actually said being a producer is like being everyone's on-set mum, which I think sums it up.
That is very good, actually.
Pretty well.
Yeah.
So the main thing of, well, I always say to people, being a producer is basically like being like a project manager is the simplest way to sum it up. Like when you're at a family party and people are like, what do you do? Mm-hmm. That's the easiest way. So yeah, producer basically takes care of everything from like quoting and scoping the job to make sure it's within budget, organising all the logistics, selecting all the crew, pitching all the crew forward, and then yeah, pulling it all together in the day and then delivering it.
Yeah. So we'll get into the nitty gritty of like each of those things in a bit. But let's take it back, and I want to know how you got into the industry in the first place. Like, let's talk about when you were young. Did you always have a bit of a creative eye? Were you always super organised?
So it's actually hilarious because in my day-to-day life, I'm such a dilly-dallyer.
Okay.
It's like my outlet. But if we go all the way back, yeah, so I was always really interested in like branding and things like that. And I kind of never really knew where that could take me. I used to look at branding as being like, oh, I'm a graphic designer, but I couldn't draw. So I kind of like, was like, oh, I can't draw. So I kind of ended up going into like more like a fashion and branding kind of route. But in terms of like job roles after uni, I actually started off in content creation and like social media management at like Foot Asylum, and then I went into JD. That then progressed that I went into product marketing at Mamas and Papas, which I loved. And then through redundancies and changing the business, I actually ended up leading on the photo shoots over there. So I kind of fell into production. I never knew production was a thing. I obviously knew photo shoots happened, but I kind of never thought that was a role. I guess it's like when you're at uni, you think back now like, oh, why did I not know I could be like a retoucher or an editor and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I totally fell into it and just kind of got whisked away. I'd never been abroad, and I was just suddenly in Cape Town doing shoots, organising castings and models.
What a great way to get into it, though.
Yeah, like fully fell into it. Had to learn on my feet. I learned from the best.
And the glamorous shoots as well, doing it all abroad. And
exactly.
Nice.
I always say to people that I learned the kind of South African Cape Town wear. So it's just a very different like vibe. It's a lot of like high level service, things like that. Doing the most you can do for clients, chilled energy, but getting the job done. So, yeah.
So if we go back to the first job then in content creation, because I guess that's a good way to kind of dip your feet into actual production as well. Talk me through what those roles were. So you said Foot Asylum and JD, right?
Yeah. So it was basically within their social media team. So it was predominantly writing content for the blogs and things like that, running the Instagram. I mean, it's so different now, I imagine, in like social media, where we used to have to wake up really early to like launch the trainer launches at like 6 a.m. and the link would always not work and things like that. Whereas now I think it's all fully scheduled. But we used to do like small scale shoots. Had like, this was before everything kind of expanded into like the huge brands that they are now. We used to just do small scale shoots of like the flat lays, the like content to go with the blog posts and things like that. Yeah. So that was my first kind of experience in working with photographers and kind of seeing how the creative director would like style the shoots and kind of pull things together. So I kind of had like a bit of a overview there, if you like, of what that is.
Did you go to uni beforehand as well?
Yeah, so I went to uni in Leeds and I did fashion and branding because I always really wanted to work. I was always really into streetwear. Like I did an internship at a company called A Number of Names that used to look after like ice cream, a bathing ape, Billionaire Boys Club. So I was always really into streetwear. I was always collecting trainers. I've still got so many at home that I can't bear to part with. So I knew I wanted to do something with a brand, but I kind of couldn't articulate what I would do because I was like, I can't design, I can't draw. What is it? But then I guess this is now giving me the outlet to work with brands and kind of immerse myself with brands, but in a kind of creative way.
Yeah, definitely. So when you were doing all that work with Foot Asylum and JD, mostly blog stuff, right?
Yeah.
And you were writing and shooting the content, or kind of working with the photographers and those teams to create that content?
Yeah, so I was basically writing the content for it. They had like the creative director team that would pull like all the larger scale shoots together.
Okay.
So I wasn't ever really involved with it at that point. I just kind of got exposed to it, if you like.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I kind of moved then to Mamas and Papas that it wasn't even on the job spec, really, anything to do with photo shoots. It was like you would do some cutout shoots or some packaging shoots in the studio, but nothing ever to the scale of kind of going overseas and eventually it then being like my full-time role of kind of looking after the process of all the shoots and things like that and putting budgets in for like the financial year and explaining why we needed like this budget. Yeah, just
let's get
crazy.
into all of that then. So you started in Mamas and Papas, and how old were you at this point as well?
So that was like, I always call that like my first production role. So I think that was 2015 that I started there. So what, I'm 34 now.
Whatever the maths
whatever the maths is. This way my boyfriend would be like, no, you're not. You're actually 35. I always forget how old I am, but yeah, I'm 35.
So do I. Past 30, you're just like, I can't remember.
I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah. Okay, so you started there in 2015.
Yep.
And what was that role meant to be?
So it was product marketing. So it was basically marketing the products. So it was kind of like, I guess, looking after the products coming from the designers and then making sure that launched online. So it was things like making sure the packaging was kind of going through the artwork in, organising the images and pulling everything together. But they had like a creative team that looked after like the look and feel and the internal artwork team. And it was actually my manager that used to like attend the shoots, but we were very much there to kind of, from a product perspective, is the baby fastened into the car seat correctly? Are the labels showing where they should be, etc., etc. But as the kind of team changed and people left the business and changes happened, it kind of became more full on the kind of role that I took in the shoots. And then that actually meant that I could lead on it more, like helping with the casting and organising, but it also meant that I could do that over here. So start to organise shoots like in London, locally and things like that. So it really gave me such a well-rounded experience learning from such an incredible team as the guys that were overseas in Cape Town. Because I was just completely blind. I didn't know anything about it. And they like built me from the ground up, basically.
Definitely, yeah.
To where I am now.
So how did you get that experience in Cape Town? Was it just kind of shadowing people and they started giving you like more responsibilities as time went on?
Yeah. What I always say to people is be curious and be like nosy. So I'd be even when I was in the head office at Mamas and Papas, I'd go down to the studio and I'd sit by Sam, who was like the resource manager and managed the studio, and just be like, what are you doing? She'd be like, I'm booking a location. I'd be like, what for? And she'd just tell me and she'd explain why, and she'd explain things like risk assessments and health and safety things. And I kind of just did that in Cape Town. I just kind of watched. I still say that to people now as a producer on set. Your main thing is to like watch. You should always be aware of what everyone's doing. If someone looks like they're a little bit lost or needs help. So I think, just really watching and learning and kind of taking in as much as I can of like that experience. And just having really great people that taught me things, to be honest. Like Bianca taught me so much. She was one of like the key like production leads over in Cape Town, and she just wouldn't be here without her today.
Oh, so how long were you working with Mamas and Papas in that kind of role then?
So I was there for 4 years, and then I went from there into agency. So it's great because my background has ended up being quite a good mix of
Definitely
direct brand and then also agency.
Yeah.
Because I always think when you've worked in-house at brand, it helps you kind of like get that experience basically of being embedded in there.
I feel like when you're looking at jobs, you're either looking at a brand job or an agency job. So it's quite, I guess, impressive that you made the switch to agency with only having brand experience.
Yeah.
Why do you think you were able to do that?
I remember applying to so many agencies, and it is so hard if you've not got agency experience.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're kind of just like, I don't know, they're just a bit unfamiliar if you're going to be able to like take the pace of it. I think that's what it is. But it's kind of just explaining, I guess I kind of just went on the big sell of like juggling multiple things and being able to work quite like fluidly and kind of like immerse myself in things like that. But I mean, I was really interested in working with like a mix of different brands and kind of like growing my experience.
Yeah.
So I did kind of end up, when I went into agency, I did kind of have to go back a little bit because I was like, look, I need to kind of like learn the agency way of working and kind of like build myself up. But I do always say that to people sometimes if they're looking for like a new role, if they're not happy where they are, sometimes you have to take a little step back, but then the growth is like
totally
better in the long run. You know, it might be that you're thinking, oh, ideally I really want to be looking at like senior.
Yeah.
But if someone's offering you like an amazing opportunity in an agency and it maybe is just like producer level, you're like, the growth is going to be so much more well-rounded.
No, I totally agree with that. And like, I think, well, my career has been very like muddled and, you know, up and down and back and forth and all that kind of stuff, which I feel like a lot of people's are. And it's just the best way to get experience and actually make things better for yourself and kind of work out the career you really want to have as well. Like, it's not worth just chasing the title all the time or chasing the money.
That's it. Yeah. It's about like the long-term growth, I think. And it's obviously everyone needs money to like live.
Of course.
But it's like, where's this potentially going to get me?
Yeah.
And thankfully it paid off.
Yeah.
So that's good.
What would you say are the main differences between being brand side and agency side?
I think being brand side, you're obviously just working on one brand, potentially. I mean, some of them might have like different umbrella brands and things. Like I think in a lot of fashion, they have like different umbrella brands within that. Yeah, you're just kind of working on kind of your one brand or your sector. Whereas in agency, you kind of are exposed to working on different brands in different sectors, which obviously gives you more well-rounded. Also, I guess in brand, you do have in-house teams. Yeah. But I feel in agency, there's probably more scope to have like a larger team or like a team that you perhaps wouldn't work with or people in different roles you maybe wouldn't work with in brand.
And when you're in agency side, talk me through like how a brief comes in, like how you manage that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's different. I mean, I can kind of just say like how I run it now because I've ended up making an agency somehow out of nowhere. But yeah, like the brief would come in, or it would be perhaps like for a pitch or just like a direct quote. Production would sit and quote it through. Or if it is an in-house agency, like an agency, like a bigger agency, probably would have like client services and stuff that'd kind of be like direct quote, like contact to the client. And then, pull that into like a scope of work deck. Sometimes people do like visual decks. Sometimes people just do like a quote template and things like that. I guess it depends on the brand and the level of the brief, what people tend to do.
Yeah.
I do a mix of visual scopes back or then just like the standard lovely template.
When you say visual scope as well, is that like what the creative would look like or is it just making the quote look pretty?
So a bit of both. Okay. So sometimes it is like a bit of an overview of like, here's what we could deliver within the vibe, but it's also really important not to do a full creative development before you've won the job. Yeah. But it sometimes just kind of shows what you can do. It's almost like a step down from like a pitch level, I would think. A pitch, obviously, you're going to go into a lot more detail. But I feel like, if you do like a scope of work that's more visual, it might just help show what you could do as an agency, or also gives you a chance to kind of expand on like testimonials, previous work, a bit about you, a bit about the team maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a pretty quote basically.
Yeah. No, I think that's good though, because especially for people starting out who are trying to make it, you know, even just freelancers trying to make it on their own, having something like that to go to people with rather than just the costs will actually be super helpful.
Yeah. I always think that the devil is in the detail, really. Because you might not be aware if you're going up against other agencies, like a lot of people do, like against 3.
Yeah.
Or even if you're not, I think it's just that's the first point of the client from the email, a first point of them actually seeing you as either a freelancer or a dynamic duo if there's like 2 of you, or an agency, and what you can deliver. So I do think I've had kind of scopes back from freelancers. It doesn't usually matter a lot of the time unless it's like a full treatment that I'm looking for. But sometimes you can see if it's kind of just been like thrown together and a little bit chaotic versus ones that are kind of, you know, even just kind of put together nicely and things like that. I think it just
thought through.
Yeah, I feel like it just is like the initial like excitement for the client to then see that you kind of got your shit together basically.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense.
So yeah, I always say to people, even if you just got like any accounting software which you can do your quotes on, a lot of the time you can kind of fiddle and do like a layout and it'll let you upload it, which is what I've done. It's just like really simple on my accounting software. So even on the simple ones, it's still all branded, still got all the lovely like terms and conditions at the bottom, so we all know if it gets signed off what's going to be going on. But then it still kind of feels like considered rather than just like a one page just off like Word or like a random Excel kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. We've touched on the fact that you've got your own sort of agency now.
Yeah.
So what was the turning point between being in-house at an agency and going at it alone?
I loved being in an agency. I loved my team. And then like with everything, people start leaving and start going to different brands and things like that. So I was kind of getting to the point where I felt like, oh, is it time for me to kind of like move on basically? I felt like I'd grown as much as I could grow within the agency. And the direction that they were moving in, they were looking at different clients that I maybe wasn't as invested in personally and things like that, you know, like a lot of banking and really huge like clients.
Yeah.
But I was kind of like, oh, I'm really
it's not
into
the niche you want.
Yeah, I was like, kind of like my beauty wellness space.
Yeah,
I'm really
fair.
happy here. And I kind of thought, I feel like I've kind of got to the point where I'm not developing any further just because of how the progression's going. So I kind of just literally woke up one day and was like, I think I'm done. I'm just going to leave. And I was like, I'll just go freelance.
Okay.
And I never really thought that much of it. You know, like my boss was like, are you sure? What are you going to do for money? You know, like, are you sure you want to do this? And I was like, money doesn't even really come into it. Like, I've kind of tried to save as much as I can. I've saved like over the last 6 months, I've got like a little bit of pocket of money, but I just feel like I just need to just try something new. And I kind of thought, oh, well, I'll just go in and I'll just freelance at different agencies.
Okay. Had you made like a network at this point? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been really lucky that I'd been able to work so closely with like other brands and obviously other crew members, because I'd say like 99% of our clients come from referrals now. So it's all in the referrals. It's all in getting about with everyone and being a nice person.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I felt like I had a lot of like existing relationships with clients, and although I couldn't do anything with those clients that I'd worked with for a certain amount of time, it just meant that I'd kind of had exposure to working with big brands, contacting big brands and working. Because my role in agency with people changing and moving, it kind of developed into like a producer account manager kind of hybrid.
Okay.
So that helped me really understand like client comms and dealing with difficult conversations and client sunset.
Okay.
But yeah, I just kind of woke up one day and was like, I'm just going to go freelance.
That's such a brave move to do without a huge amount of thought behind it.
No, I was kind of just done. And it was so strange. Like I was just so calm and like neutral about it. I was like, I'm just done. And like my boss was like, but what are you going to do about money? And I was like, it's fine.
What was your position at this point? Were you like living at home or renting or?
So I was just renting, still renting now. But yeah, I was just renting. And yeah, so I'd been promoted right recently to senior. But as I say, their agency model was just kind of changing and developing a lot. And I was kind of, I think because a lot of the team had left or moved on, sometimes it feels like it's not the original like independent agency that you joined, because it's obviously exploding in growth. And I kind of just wanted to do something new. Also, the key thing for me, I guess, as well, was I still wanted to work really closely with my clients. And naturally, when an agency grows and you grow within your role, you get removed from being on set because you're taken off onto like high level things like pitches. And I was like, no, I'm really keen to stay personal approach to my clients and making sure they're getting the best. And I kind of wanted to make sure that I was able to be part of that rather than kind of removing myself from that due to just business growth.
Yeah. Sounds like you had a really clear idea of what you wanted your career to be.
Yeah.
And like kind of what you wanted your agency to be without necessarily knowing that you wanted an agency at that point.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because a lot of the values that I kind of have just said then kind of come into our agency values of like a very like bespoke and personal service. You know, I will be doing the present, I'll be doing the pitch, or they'll be speaking to me. I will be the producer on set, or it'll be someone else, like if it is like cover. But it is very much like they get the same journey the whole way through. They don't get passed around, because a lot of the time in big agencies, because of capacity, the fabulous team will do the pitch and then they'll get passed over. Or you always have it with clients where they're just like, you know, oh, Katie's moved on now. And they're like, well, where's Katie gone? And they kind of have their person that's kind of left and it's, you know, that's managed their brand.
For sure.
And I feel like it just gives them the confidence that you kind of with them the whole way. If it's consistent.
Definitely. I think it's quite nice to do it end to end as well, because you're in all of the comms, you understand the needs from the get-go. Like it just makes it a bit smoother throughout. So when you actually went freelance then, how did you manage to get the clients? Because you said there were some that you couldn't work with for a period of time, but who were like your first clients coming in and how did you land them?
So, patience. I literally sat there and I was like, what's meant for me will find me. Because at the start I was so stressed. I was like, this is the worst idea ever.
Oh, no.
What have I done? I can't do anything. Who am I going to get? Things like that. But I mean, my first set of clients that I did was a lot of agency support. So I just did like agency support in like the local area, like in Leeds and Manchester, and kind of getting to know different agencies around as a freelance producer.
And when you say agency support, can you just elaborate on what that really means?
Yeah. So basically, a lot of people call it like retainer work, I guess. But it's basically you going in and implanting yourself into their existing team. So moving to like working in-house for like a set amount of time as like holiday cover, or just when everything's like a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
One of my first clients was Neon. They're still one of my lovely clients. So yeah, thank you to Neon for sticking with me for all this way.
Brilliant, yeah.
I can't even think, it feels like so long ago because it's coming up to like 3 years. But yeah, we were just been so like lucky off the bat to like win back a lot of old clients after like contracts ran through. So we work a lot with like PZ Cousins again now, which is amazing. So I managed to get like Fudge back, Charles Worthington. Managed to get Sanctuary Spa back. And then like recently we just did Imperial Leather. So yeah, just feel like incredibly lucky that everything's kind of come full circle. But I do believe if something is meant for you, it will come back to you. And if you've always done your best, you've never given someone the reason to not come to you again, you know,
for sure.
And like try working together again, really.
It's really interesting actually, because from several of these conversations I've had so far, a lot of people have said that getting jobs and getting work is just a lot about being a nice person.
It is. It's about being a nice person. Be yourself. Someone once told me with rubbish advice to like not be yourself because it can not be professional and you can be too chatty and too like chill. No, be yourself. Literally be yourself, providing that being yourself isn't mean. So if you're a nice person, be yourself, because that is what people kind of feel comfortable with. Do you know, like I literally do pictures with brands and I'm like, I'm professional, but I'll be just like, yeah, this is sensational, this is stunning, and I'm just like talking like that because it's just like a bit of a chit chat. Do you know what I mean? If people are the same age as you and have the same interests, it's so much easier to gel with people just being yourself rather than really like, oh no, you're the client, I'm the agency, like I can't have a laugh and a joke with you. Like
I feel like times have changed, and maybe the older way was a bit more like stuffy and super professional and all of that, but I think now people just like authenticity. I know that word's used a lot, but if you're just authentically you, if you say, you know, things are sensational and stuff like that, because that's just how you would react to things naturally, it comes across just so much better. People resonate with it more. So I totally agree. You just need to be yourself. And work will come back to you because people just like working with you.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. And like your reputation has a lot to kind of like carry you on things. Like I said, most of our clients come from like referral, or from when, if there is a company with like umbrella brands, it can, you know, they've like chatted between the teams and things like that together. But it's, I think, gone are the days, because even when I was in agency, it used to be a bit like this, where client services would just deal with the client, and production and creative never spoke to them unless it was like a pitch. And it was just very strange. It just created like I don't know,
barrier.
You kind of then got frightened of the client, of being like, oh, are they really scary? And they never were. They never were.
Yeah.
And I just think then if you kind of run with that way of managing things, number one, you're kind of stopping your team's development, because they're not getting exposed to like, how do you deal with difficult, challenging things on set, or if the client's not happy with something, or how do you take constructive feedback? They're just never going to get exposed to that, because it's always via a client services. It's not to kind of eradicate anyone's role, because everyone has a very key role within like the way of working.
For sure.
But it only then helps because if you're all like on the same page in dealing with difficult things, you can work through stuff a lot better, I feel like.
Yeah.
Which is just better.
Can you tell us about a time where you've been on set and the client's not happy with what's happening and how you've dealt with that?
I got told the other week from a client, they were like, how are you so calm when I'm literally just like freaking out over something? I probably just blocked them all out from trauma, but I think it's just always finding the way, not the positive swing of it, but the solution. Yeah. So rather than coming with like just constant problems like, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that, we can't do this, it's always I always used to say this to my boss, it's the context to like the no. So no, but why? So if it is budget, or if you're explaining things like that, or, you know, if the client's not happy with something, it's then kind of working out solutions on the day rather than kind of, I don't know, it's very difficult when you're dealing with things, because obviously if someone's not happy, you kind of, it's a bit scary sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of, like working out a solution to them, or what they can do. And sometimes, a lot of the time, it is just taking like a moment away just to think, rather than straight away replying back. Like even if it's like a sassy email, you need to just like walk away and then come back to it.
I've totally learned that, because I'm like very quick normally, being like, well, actually, as per my last email, or, you know, that sort of thing. But you do need to take a minute.
Sometimes you have to take a minute, and at the end of the day, client's always right, customer's always right. There might be things where you can explain it, and then half the time you explain it, they're like, oh yeah, that makes total sense why that isn't feasible or possible. Absolutely cool. But if it's something where they're like, oh, I don't feel like this is to standard that we were looking for, if something's not to standard, most of the time when you look at it, you probably be like, I agree. Yeah. Because, you know, and then you have to do like a reshoot or a replan and things like that. But yeah.
Is there ever like a time when you're actually on the shoot and they're checking over the work and they're just like, this is not what we thought it was going to be? How would you fix it like on the day?
I think it's just trying to be, I've never really had it where it's been to that point where it's like a disaster, thankfully. But, you know, like if the lighting's not quite working and things like that, it's just, I guess, working out solutions. So if the lighting's not working, then it's like pulling up references on Instagram or Pinterest and just be like, can we try this? Can we try that? A lot of the time, because I work with such a close-knit crew, everyone will kind of come together and kind of help, you know, and like adjust things. But thankfully, a lot of the time. But I think it is just coming with solutions rather than just being... And also it's having them difficult conversations with crew. If a client's not happy, you've kind of got to go over and be like, look, this isn't working. X, Y, Z, what can we do? And it is just kind of knowing how to manage that without being, you know, running it with like an iron fist, because at the end of the day, you're all there for the same output.
How do you think that you've learned that? Is it just practice?
Practice, a lot of practice, and a lot of learning to like hold back a little bit and just kind of like assess the situation and kind of like think through. Going back to like that client that was like, how are you always just so calm and so positive? I think it's just because you've always got to think of like, what can we do to kind of like rectify this, or what are the actual positives? Sometimes you get too close to things and then you kind of think it's not working when it actually is. So I think it's just kind of helping to guide your client a little bit. But I mean, like I said, it is just like being people's mum on set.
Yeah.
Just got to make sure everyone's all right and everyone's happy. But thankfully, I touch wood, don't want anything to happen now. Not too many disasters that we've not managed to rectify.
Yeah, good. So we've talked a lot about being on the set, I guess, and like fighting fires and stuff like that on the set. But I think actually probably like 80% of the job is not on set at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's all in like pre-production or post-production.
Yeah.
So can you talk me through a brief? So like maybe take Neon, for example, one of their briefs to you now. As soon as that comes through, how do you tackle it end to end?
So that's a good one because we've just had one in, so I can like run it through in my brain.
Cool. Just jumping in quickly to thank the sponsor of this season, Capture One, the tool trusted by professionals around the world and the one I've relied on since day one. Whether I'm producing a shoot, working on edits or reviewing on set, it's always Capture One that I'm opening first. If you want to give it a go, and you should, you can get 30% off for the first year of the all-in-one subscription with code Morgan30. It's valid until the 1st of June 2026. Full details and the link are in the show notes. Now, back to the episode.
So that's good. So the brief will come in usually with clients, with Neon, because they're very good. They've got a gorgeous in-house team. It's a beautiful visual brief, so it tells me all the vibe that they're looking for, and it's stunning. But some brands might just have like a bullet point list of being like, I want 15 pictures or this many videos and things like that. So usually I'd go for on a call with them to chat it through. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's not always possible, and sometimes it kind of makes sense in what you've got and you can kind of go back and forth on emails. Yeah. I'll basically take that away and start piecing that together in terms of what that looks like. Sometimes it is simple as it is like, we know it's going to be a 1-day location shoot and it's like stills only. So it's like, how much can we achieve in that day, basically? Yeah. Sometimes clients will obviously ask for quite a lot in the day. And we know like with sets and different moving around the house, it can be quite tricky. So I guess it's just kind of managing a lot of what we can do. When they send through the brief as well, I'll always ask them for a budget. Sometimes they're a little bit nervous to give you the budget, but I'm always like, give me your top, like your comfy budget, and I'll always try and be under it, but at least it gives me your maximum comfortable point. And then if what you've asked for doesn't work within that budget, I can kind of come back with a solution. Yeah. So that's always key, to come back with something that, I mean, if it works with the budget, amazing. But if it's over, I always come back with what they've asked for, which is over, or what they could get, which is in line with the budget as well. So sometimes it's just working out a couple of versions. Okay. But then I'll do the quote, organise it all into the timings, send it back, pray in the arms of the angels of the quote, and it comes back approved. But then we kind of like head into like pre-production, things like that. So that's like getting all the crew penciled, location scouting, casting.
So before they've approved it in that kind of first deck, I guess, that you're sending over, are you like proposing photographers, stylists, locations, all that kind of stuff? Or are you just giving them like top line sort of budget?
Yeah, it depends on the brief, to be honest. So a lot of the time I'll just give them the budget, which is just photographer, like literally the people and the things we need. But then sometimes if they have asked for like a bit of a vibe, if they kind of want to see. Okay. But I mean, a lot of the time when I come to like put forward crew, it's usually once it's been approved. I think my clients are really flexible. I'm so lucky that they kind of know they're just going to get the best crew that aligns with the brief and things like that. Or they actually ask for specific people before. Okay. Sometimes I will say to them, if they send it through, if it looks like it's something that might be like, if it's like a lifestyle model shoot, I will say like, have you got specific crew in mind? Or if it's like a new client, I'll usually say, is there any crew you're currently using that you'd like to stick with? Yeah. And then I can obviously always work them in. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, it's a bit flexible, to be honest.
Do you ever have it where there's like a mixture of their internal crew and, I don't know, maybe half their internal crew and half you've got to bring in?
Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of times, I think one of the things that seems to be quite consistent in brands with an in-house team, people don't seem to have like in-house production as in like retouches and things like that like they used to, but they seem to have like a creative team, which I think obviously helps lead the brand vision. So a lot of the time we will have like a brand art director on set to kind of just lead that, or like someone from the marketing department. But sometimes we have had existing photographers that they loved working with, that they want to work with, or art directors and things like that. Yeah. But otherwise it tends to be a crew that kind of like I pop on the job.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but it is always so good having like someone from brand, like from the art direction, because I think it just like limits us kind of doing that upfront work in terms of getting into the brand, and you're kind of given a well-rounded brief, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. I think there's obviously some brands that, maybe smaller brands that don't have that internal team just yet.
Yeah.
But from a producer's point of view, having that super clear creative brief is always really helpful.
Yeah.
So, no, completely understand that. So you send that off.
Yeah.
And then that gets approved. What happens next?
So it's all approved. I'm like, give me the PO. No PO, no job.
Okay.
Always get a PO, people. It's really important. Otherwise, you might not get paid. So then, so the job moves to live on everything, and then I can start kind of locking in dates. So usually I try and work out what date they want, because without the date, you can't really do anything.
No.
Because you could look for locations, but what is the date?
Exactly, yeah.
So get the date kind of locked in, and then kind of start building the crew around that. So kind of, look for who you need. If they've got specifics, outreach to them. If you've got your crew, outreach to them. And then you can kind of start piecing together the puzzle of what date seems to work best for your ideal crew.
Yeah.
And also the client.
Yeah. How far in advance of the actual shoot date are you normally starting work on these projects?
So, I mean, it depends. It depends. Sometimes I get the joy of like a month.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get the joy of like 3 days.
Okay.
So it just depends.
Okay.
You just got to be like super reactive, I think, with it. And I think that'll depend on you as a person, how reactive you can be. Because some people are like, how do you do this? Why are you not stressed? I seem to just thrive on the reactiveness of it. But yeah, I try to obviously do it in as much notice as possible, because I think more than anything, it's like the availability as production, but then it's also the crew availability. And even models, like the closer to the wire you get, the less scope you get with models, the less scope with location.
I think the hardest bit, just from my experience, is actually just getting the product there.
Yes.
Like,
actually,
normally I can get all the people and, all the bits to actually shoot it. But the thing to shoot is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's the thing, especially when it's like such a brand new product.
Yeah. Yes.
It just takes, or it comes and it's like a prototype one. We've had that before.
Yeah, and there's so much in retouch there.
Yeah, and they cost a fortune, and they're never, like, you can never actually touch them because they're so delicate. You know, it's like a tube, you can't squeeze it because it isn't the real thing. So yeah, samples is always the tricky thing. So yeah, that's a really good point, actually. Before you do anything, find out when your samples are going to be here and work backwards.
Okay.
So work from your sample arrival, basically.
Great tip. Tip.
Sorry, work forwards from your sample arrival, not backwards. But yeah, and then you can go into like pre-production, do your location scout, do your models, start to like bring it all together, really, get your creative briefed in.
And how involved in like model casting do you get? Do you lead like the full casting, or do you get ideas and kind of send them over to the brand and then they maybe do the casting?
So I love doing castings. It's the best.
Yeah, it is really fun.
Yeah. So so I'll do the full casting. So I usually do like a full seed out to like all the agencies that are on the list for models, depending. I've got different ones for different types of things, like the child models, more commercial, and then kind of like the more like beauty led brand type ones. And I'll do a full casting, so I'll get a ton of like boxes back. Your inbox ends up full. And then I will go through and do my shortlist from all of those, pop them into the deck with like links through to their socials, because sometimes it kind of gives you a good feel of the person's personality for the model. And then I'll present them to brand. Then they'll send them back. Then I'll do a full digital casting with them. We used to do in-person castings, but they kind of got knocked on the head in COVID. And then they've kind of never... I think people are just so busy that it's really hard to...
It's hard getting everyone in the same room.
Hard getting everyone there in the same room. And I'd hate to miss someone just because they were on another job on the day we were doing the casting. Yeah. So I always try and do video casting, especially with like beauty and hair. It allows us to do like in daylight, see their personality. I always say like hair texture and hair kind of like condition. So like lots of lovely, gorgeous shots and video footage. That'll then go across, and then then we'll do like final shortlist of models. And then like with child models, same again, but you just kind of have to do like the licensing as well on that side for them.
Yes, which comes with its own whole load
of
complexities.
Wrangles. But luckily I learned how to do the licensing, so I can license them when I was at Mamas and Papas. But a lot of agencies, especially like the northern agencies, are so good and on with that that they have such good relationships with, because it's the relationship with the council more than anything.
Yes, exactly.
Just to kind of get them pushed through, because it can just obviously take a lot of time.
Yes. You've got to sort it with the child, with the council where the child lives, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's their local council, and then if they're like school age, it gets a little bit more tricky, I think, because it's like out of school letters and all the good stuff to make sure that everything is in place.
Yeah.
But it's just another little hoop to jump through in terms of lead times.
Yeah, always important to do.
Yeah,
needs to be done, but it's just an added thing.
Never forget. 28 days minimum, I think they like to say now. We like to try and push it to 5. Sorry to Leeds Council.
What else? Have we missed anything else out for pre-production? So you've got your location sorted, your crew, any licenses, that sort of thing.
Yep.
Samples.
Yep. Samples.
Shoot day.
Shoot day's locked in.
Yeah.
You've done, so you need to do creative. So that's obviously if like some people probably do the creative themselves. The brand might have given you the creative, which means you can skip this step.
Are you briefing the crew on that creative, or do you link them with the brand to do that?
So I'll brief them. So I will always like the main contact. So the crew don't really need to deal with the brand direct unless, it's like we'll do a briefing call. Sometimes with props, it's really good to do like a briefing call with the brand if it is existing creative, just to kind of make sure that we understand 100% what it is. But everything always goes through me, just to kind of, I think it just helps as well, because sometimes it can be like an email chain that goes on for all eternity.
Forever. Yeah.
But doing like the briefing, so I'll brief kind of like the art director to do the mood boards and things like that. Obviously get those presented, do any amends, and then that'll then move forward into like prop sourcing and the wardrobe shopping and things like that. So that's the next stage of crew briefing.
Yes.
And then for us as production, the next stage is schedules and call sheets.
Yes, of course.
So scheduling is something that's really different. Like a lot of people I think it's changed how people do it. We used to do like a shot list, which is like a template, and it was very strict, like this is the shots. But the way we tend to work now is we'll have it in like the creative deck and kind of run through the shots visually like that, because I kind of does the same job. I think creatives hate looking at Excels. Yeah. The Excels are for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Not for the creative. But then, like the call sheet and things like that. And I guess just with the call sheets, again, just making sure that that's like branded up, looks really nice, formatted all gorgeous, got all the details on there. Because that's something I think as well, that's another extension of your brand, of making sure it looks, true to form of what it is, not an afterthought. I think branding the whole way through is something that's really, really important, actually.
Yeah. And I love your branding.
Oh, thank you.
Let's finish talking about the end-to-end process for producers, and then we'll come on to your branding. Yeah. Okay. So you've got call sheets, schedules, all of that has been sent out. Yeah. Shoot day arrives. Bright and breezy. We're loaded in. Yeah. So shoot day arrives. So that's basically just getting everyone in. I always like to call the crew half an hour early from models, and then clients an hour after the crew's arrived. So everything's all singing and dancing and beautifully loaded and set up, and we're not all just kind of carrying in kit bags and things like that. Cool. So I guess on the day it's just, again, making sure everyone's pre-briefed in the morning. Hair and makeup and glam team know exactly what they're doing. They've got all their girls or their boys for the models for the day. And I guess it's just, managing the schedule through and the timings, and just keeping that energy up with everyone. And then just start time sharking people, basically. A lot of people come to me and they're like, we're all right for time. And I'm always like, I will tell you when you're not all right for time. Yes, You're fine, just carry on. And just really allowing the crew to kind of like do their thing, basically. But as production on the shoot day, it's making sure everyone's all okay. It's running to schedule. Your models are there. Models don't need anything, or if they do, organising the lunch. So it might be that you've got a caterer come in, or sometimes people are chill and just for a Deliveroo, just easy peasy. And then, just managing the day, managing the time through. And I guess just a lot of it is just checking on people throughout the day. You're just keeping an eye on people and making sure they're all right. Really, to the point, our job's kind of like 60%, 70% done by that point. It's then just kind of like bringing it into fruition. It's like over to the crew a bit to kind of like bring it to life. Yeah, for sure. But it's just guiding people on the day. Yeah. Have you had an instance where the schedule's out the window, nothing's going to plan, and you've got to try and get everyone together to actually pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, shoots, a schedule, I've never known a schedule run perfectly to plan. That's why people say, I write a schedule. There's no point me writing a schedule. We know we've got from 8 till 6. Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, like obviously shoots do naturally like sometimes run into overtime. You know, things happen on set, you know, like maybe a model's a little bit unsettled and takes a little bit more time to warm up in front of the camera, especially with video.
Yeah.
I guess it's just having like clear points through the day when you can see that you're not going to get things done. It's either having a conversation with the client of what is your complete non-negotiables that we have to get.
Yeah.
A lot of the times we're like, everything's a non-negotiable.
A lot of the time,
then you're
that's
like,
the case.
That's fine, but I need to know your non-negotiables.
What's your top 5, for example?
And sometimes you can kind of figure it out because you can easily bin stuff off because sometimes they have kind of like over-selected what they need on the shoot.
Yeah.
And I think as well that goes back to when you're briefing it. If they said they need 35 images and you know that's a push, it's at that point being like, comfortably we should be at X amount. We will obviously try to get as many as we can in the day, but we need your priorities and then the rest is secondary and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just clear communication with the crew and the client. If you are going to go into overtime, just making sure you've had those conversations 4 hours ahead of you knowing that it's going to go in.
Yeah.
And obviously bringing the client up to speed of like, we're going to be in overtime, so...
What happens if you do go in overtime? Do you just add that onto the bill at the end?
Yeah, so it depends. If it's like an hour, it's a conversation with the crew just to see what everyone's feelings are. But yeah, it would just be kind of like added on from that point onwards over time. But it's just obviously making sure that your client's aware of that and it not just being like...
Not a surprise.
Not just like, oh yeah, you knew we shot till 8. It's like, no, they need to clearly understand what, because then they might be like, oh yeah, I can live without them 4 shots. Like they were just for so-and-so, they're not really a big thing, in which case you don't need to go into overtime.
Exactly.
But yeah, like stuff happens. It's just about managing it on the day, I think, really, and just staying calm and just working out solutions again.
Yeah, for sure. Shoot's done. Then it goes into post-production. So there's a lot of like different things to handle in post because it's different for stills, it's different for video and all of that. So can you give me like a bit of an overview of how you handle everything in post? Yeah.
So basically, I just oversee the post in terms of the team. So it'd be like, the editor or the retoucher or whoever it might be.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's usually like get the contact sheets, send them across to brand, get them to make their selects. And ideally would love retouch notes from them so you can make sure what they actually want doing.
Yes.
You've got at that point.
Yes.
And then that gets briefed in. A lot of the time, I mean, it is so hard because sometimes you end up on the amends train and it just feels like it's never going to end, the amends. So post-production always takes longer than you think. So just making sure you've got enough time in there for everyone.
Yeah.
But I guess it's just managing the team and their timescales to get things done, really. Keeping in close comms with the team that are on the edit because... you know, things happen as you go through. It might be you've shot more footage than you thought on the day.
Yeah.
So I think it's just working together, really, to just make sure you've got everything key.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a case of just managing the client, managing their feedback deadlines and things like that.
For sure.
To make sure you're not losing time. Obviously, sometimes the clients need to kind of send it around like a multitude of people. So you lose time. So it's just then making sure you're catching up with them to make sure you're like, look, you know, we are tracking like a week behind because you needed some like more time for internal feedback. That's fine, but then obviously your deadline's affected for handover and things like that.
Yeah. So you are really that client services person as well as production,
account manager, finance, everything. But
many hats.
But I do think production and account management goes hand in hand. I mean, they're both extremely separate roles in their own right. But I think with the scale of the agency, you can kind of lean. I'm a producer, but like I can kind of lean on some skills I've got in account management. Yeah. But I'm not a full account manager by any means. But I think it's just, you are dealing with the client, but alongside your production role as well, I guess.
Course. How many of these sorts of briefs do you juggle at once? Because that's a lot of calls, a lot of shoot days, a lot of things to pull together. So how many are you doing at any one time?
A lot. I don't like to have less than 4 at one time.
Okay.
So it is a habit that is maybe an unhealthy habit that I had from agency where I used to have like 17 jobs on at once.
Wow, 17
I remember
is
once
a lot.
in agency, my last agency, I did 31 days of straight shooting. It was bananas. But I've always had humongous amounts of jobs on at once.
Yeah.
So we do kind of like stack and slot, things like that as much as we can with like the crew. But yeah, I do tend to work on like quite a few at once. I can't think how many we've got in at the minute. It's quite a few in post. Must be, I'm trying to picture the zero folder in my head. I feel like there must be about like 9 at the minute, but a lot of them are in post and then a couple of them in pre-production and shoot. Okay. So yeah, but that's over an expanse of like a couple of months worth.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's quite a lot to.
It's a lot of like
juggle all at once.
Everyone's like, "How do you do it?" It's kind of second nature to me because, like I said, I had no choice. We did it in agency. Yeah. We were a really small agency when I went full time there, so there was like only myself and then like my production director in the production team. So we had no choice. It was just the pair of us.
You've got to get on with it.
Just got to do it. Yeah. And then obviously the team grew, but yeah, I just was constantly busy. So it's taught me how to juggle things. Like I say, it probably can be a little bit of an unhealthy thing of like I have to do like a gazillion things at once.
I was going to ask, like, what's your work-life balance sort of like?
It's better now. Good. It's much better now that I run my own business.
Okay.
Because it feels like there's the passion behind it and the reason why I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I do, in production you do kind of work late hours. But I've been sleeping a lot lately. It's been a little bit more quiet at the minute, so it's been quite good. I've had like a lot of balance. I've done the garden. It's been sensational. The sun's out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the biggest trick is people are like, I'm going to go freelance for like work-life balance. You get the work-life balance, but it's different. I think it's because you get the fulfillment from what you're doing that gives you life.
Yeah.
But the balance is different because you're kind of like doing it for yourself, so you might end up working more. But I think because the fulfillment's there,
you kind of don't mind.
You kind of
That's
don't
how
mind.
I feel about it as well.
And I love to work. I've always loved working. I'm going to be one of them people that just works forever.
Yeah, same.
It's very much like ingrained in me. But yeah, I do think it's a different way of looking at it, I think, like the work-life balance.
Yeah, completely. And I feel like you've got a really good grasp on like owning your own time as well. So when you're working on these projects, you don't have to like show up 9 to 5 with that brand, do you? As long as you get it done in the timeline, like the time scale that they've given you, you've got that freedom, which is quite nice.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's like in working in production, obviously you'll quote for like an amount of days, but it's not set days like you're saying. It's like hours over. It could be like 4 days over like a month. Because it's the split hours to be able to like work it. Yeah. So you can kind of pick up with that client and then like pause. But I mean, let's be honest, I'm literally always on my phone. I'm always replying to people. So I don't know. It just gives me. I'm a lot happier now with like my work lifestyle than I was, and I think it's just because I don't feel like stifled and I don't feel like I'm on someone else's journey for them in growing something. Yeah. And also I get to work with my friends every single day.
Yeah, which is so nice.
And my clients are so nice. So we have a gorgeous time.
Yeah. No, that's the best part about it, I think.
It's the best bit.
Yeah. So when you do your agency days, because I know that you still do those every now and again, is that treated in the same way, or do you have to like show up to their offices 9 to 5 or whatever?
Yeah, so a lot of the time that is like full days. So that'll be like full contracted days for like X amount of time. So yeah, that'd be going in. And a lot of people are really flexible now that you can do work at home. Yeah. But yeah, like a lot of them are in because it'll be, support basically when they're just like at a loose end or got holidays and things like that. Okay. So yeah, that is more traditional in that, I'm going in and I'm like, it's like contract work really, isn't it? Yeah, it's exactly. Like a contractor. But that's good because you get to go in and like have a little, it's like being employed again. But you kind of like,
it's quite nice actually.
You kind of like separate and you get to like, oh, there's got a canteen and there's like, and go in, it's like this big building and it's kind of nice and it's kind of refreshing then being around people if you kind of just in your office, you're not on set and you're kind of just on your own. Yeah. So it's nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So you kind of started off your freelance journey doing the agency days.
Yeah.
And how did that evolve into your agency now?
I'm trying to even think how it even happened. I don't even know.
Did it just feel really natural and you just started taking on that type of work?
It just naturally came in that people came with a brief that just needed executed.
Right, okay.
So I think it comes from, rather than it being another agency asking me for like contract support, it was like a brand coming like, oh, we'd love to do this shoot, and me just being like, okay, I'll just organise it like I normally would.
Yeah.
And it
But
kind
it's
of
just you this time rather than through an agency.
Exactly. And it just developed into us being like a 360-degree agency, basically.
Yeah.
So weird saying us, but it is us. It's the collective us.
Yes.
The team know who they are, the collective us. Yeah, just as like a micro production agency, basically, to be able to just offer like the end to end, which I prefer doing, obviously, because you get to kind of manage the whole thing through and through, or like execute the creative. But yeah, it just really came totally naturally.
Yeah.
Just a really fluid movement. But I think that's because that's how I had been working anyway. So it just felt like second nature.
And when was it that you felt like you needed to like build the brands? And, you know, that comes with all of the branding and the... I feel like you've got a very recognisable brand because it's the purple and like the squiggly lines and all that kind of stuff. Like people know you for that.
Yeah.
So when did that kind of come into place?
So I already had existing branding that one of my friends had done for me.
Okay.
Which was like not similar, but it was like the handwriting style with like, and it was baby blue. It was like Tiffany blue because I used to love Tiffany blue, like Nike Tiffany blue, so nice.
Yeah.
But I think it was, I can't even think when it was. It was soon after I went freelance. I kind of thought it just needs a refresh. Like I'd had that branding for a couple of years just on like my work Instagram that I just used to post things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just obviously like a key like investment that I knew I needed to do just to kind of like level me up against other small agencies, to be honest. And then that naturally then went into like the website being rebuilt and things like that, which I'm constantly always fiddling with that website. I feel like it's never done. But I think that just helps you then stand out against other brands. Like I remember when I briefed like my branding designer and the website designers, I was like, I just feel like my website isn't working hard enough for me. It's not bringing people in. It's not kind of like as a space that people can go on and kind of get all the information they need, because at the end of the day you are kind of like standing up against a really competitive space, especially in the north. There's a lot of amazing, incredible independent agencies, so it's important to kind of see where you sit for other clients. And I think as well what you look like and how you articulate yourself for your agency kind of then feels like it aligns with the clients that you're trying to get.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think all of the clients you've got feel really obvious that they're your clients.
Yeah, it's just all like really fun, nice clients.
It
like,
all works together.
Yeah, it just all works together. I love that they bring me lilac briefs. The amount, like, I think people must think, do you just concept only lilac? I'm like, no, the client asked for lilac. Like, there's a couple of lilac ones up there at the minute. Yeah, from like Beauty Bay and like Neom and things like that, and Child's Farm, all lilac. But yeah, I think a lot of them are just looking for like a more like personal, fun, like individual kind of edge. A lot of them have worked with big agencies before, I think, and then kind of felt like they just lost that like personal touch. And I think your personal branding or your branding comes into that it articulates who you are.
Yeah. Did you notice when you made the switch to your new branding, if people took you more seriously?
I don't know. I think they maybe did. Because I think a lot of people, like, sometimes I think a lot of people who maybe don't know me or know the agency think it's bigger than it is.
Yeah,
and I'm like, it's just me with everyone else. But yeah, and like a lot of people always say they love my branding, so it's really nice. And it just really helps because then like the whole brand voice carries through in all the decks, all the scope of work decks, all the casting decks, everything.
Yeah. I love it when it's also seamless like that.
It's just so
it
consistent.
feels nice, doesn't
I've got
it?
my brand guidelines.
Yeah.
I've got all my fonts, even though I like pick and choose different ones and drive Gemma insane because I'm like, I'm just going to change this font to this, then she has to update the package. But yeah, it just really helps, I think.
Yeah. Is that your like branding, the person who helped with your branding?
Yeah, so Gemma helped with mine. So she's so good at Yana Studios. So she's the best. And again, that was one thing that I really, really loved when I went freelance. I'd posted it on stories, I feel like. I was like, it's so exciting to be able to work with other women who are individual, like small brands to do things for my brand. Like it feels amazing and so like empowering to be able to do that and like book people to do things.
Absolutely.
Really
so you made like a really conscious decision and like, you know, financial backing to actually level up your branding.
Yeah.
So do you think that's a really important thing for people to do is, you know, nail their personal branding or their actual branding?
Yeah, I think so. Because it's always like, it always is like an investment, isn't it? Because it is just like something that feels like you're managing without it. you don't really sometimes see a tangible difference,
Yeah.
but I think it's like the long-term difference and how that makes you feel about your brand. You might feel more confident when it's all kind of organised and they've done all your like social templates and things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it is like a thing worth investing in. And I always say to people, have like, because people are like, oh, who's done this and who would you recommend? I always say the same thing to everyone. I'm like, go through Instagram because it's amazing. There's so many amazing designers on there for like web or branding. And it's just about finding someone that fits with your vibe, and kind of like working out who that is. Because it's, they've got to kind of bring your look and feel basically to it.
Completely. Kind of on the same note as that, let's talk about crew and how you find the crew for the jobs. You kind of mentioned you've got like a bit of an internal crew. Do you have like your go-tos that you always work with?
Yeah, so I've got my go-tos that we work with that, to be honest, the brands always ask for because they love them.
Right.
But then I also then like add in bits and bobs as well. So there's been a lot of new crew that have like joined as well. And equally brands are loving them.
Oh,
so
good.
It's so good. The family just keeps growing. But I am an Instagram stalker.
Okay.
I find people on Instagram.
That's what I was going to ask. How do you find them? Yeah. Okay.
I am never off LinkedIn and I'm never off Instagram finding people because especially now, I put a post out the other day. I was like, there must be beauty photographers that I do not know about because so many people have just gone freelance.
Yeah, they have.
So there's like so many more people available as well. And I think it's about always keeping things fresh and like working with new people where you can, or even like people that are trying to get into production, like production assistants and things like that. But yeah, Instagram and LinkedIn is the best place to find people. And I think with that in mind, make sure your Instagram is up to date with your work, because the amount of people I look and either I don't know what you do, or I don't know if you edited the videos as well as shot them. And I think it's like a free portfolio, basically.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a paid for website.
I was going to say, do you think people need a website if they've got their Instagram?
I don't think so. I mean, a website's always good because I feel like some brands really like it because it feels like legit, doesn't it? It feels just like a box tick sometimes.
Yeah.
Even if it's just got your contact details on and like a showreel or some pictures. But I think keeping Instagram up to date, because again, it's so accessible to be able to find people on there. And it's that whole thing of when people tag in credits, it helps you, like it passes the little journey along, doesn't it? Of like finding different people and stuff like that. But yeah, I think keeping your Instagram up to date is like just easy free marketing. Yeah, basically.
Sure. And do you tend to reach out to people, or do you get many people reaching out to you?
Both.
Okay.
Get a lot of people reaching out to me, and everyone gets like filed on the freelancer list. I've got a very organised spreadsheet, and it tells like people's specialism, where they are, their rate, who they are, things like that. And then I've just got that as like my little like lilac book, I call it, just for like crewing up and things like that. But then, I do reach out a lot to people as well, because there's always people that you don't know about. And like I say, so many people have just gone freelance that there's definitely like heaps out there that I don't know yet.
No, I think that's a really good way to do it, isn't it? It's just connect with people, be friendly as well.
Yeah.
And keep your work up to date, showcase your work, and then keep it up to date.
Yeah. I always think as well as like, it's so much like an uplifting thing. Like, I'll tag people in posts. People look like a copywriter. Yeah. People will tag me in posts. I think gone are the days where people are like, I don't know if it's just like a generational thing now. We're a lot more like savvy on the internet and happy like to share, like we're all into like Instagram and things like that. But I feel like there's a lot more of like an inclusive kind of community feel of people passing things around. You're like, if I can't do something, I'll pass it on to someone else, or I'll tag someone in something. And I think it's like, you've got to be protective of your clients, but also things come full circle, don't they? I feel like there's room in the lift for everyone. Yes. And especially as like females in like the creative space as well, I think that's really important, you know, to kind of elevate people together.
Definitely. So we haven't got long left. It's been a really good chat, but I want to get to the listener round, which is some of my listeners have written in some questions.
Okay.
So you're based in Leeds, isn't it? How did you build your connections in Leeds when I guess the main areas of work are like London and Manchester?
Leeds is a hub. Leeds is up and coming, everyone. But no, so Leeds and Manchester, I kind of view them like as the same place, basically. If you work in Manchester, you work in Leeds. But it's again, just lots of like networking online. Yeah. Getting yourself out there. Like, and that works both ways. Both people, networking with you, but then you like outreaching to people, or like I'm saying, like following them on Instagram and things like that. But I think, yeah, we've got everything at our fingertips in terms of like social now. But I'm constantly connecting with people on LinkedIn, just to kind of show them who I am, and likewise.
Yeah. What's your favourite job that you've worked on?
Oh my God, there's so many. I love the Beauty Bay Daydreamer one, and it's not just because it's lilac. Everyone's always thinking it's because it's lilac. We did a shoot with Neon for their New York launch. That was amazing, and that was gorgeous. And they did like them like big posters that they paste up on the wall in New York, and it was so good. And it was just giving me like such Gossip Girl energy.
Yeah,
it's amazing. But yeah, there's so many. I love the Child's Farm ones as well. Anything with models just feels like a dream, because it just brings extra elevation to it, I feel like.
And what advice would you give to someone who wants to get their first break in production?
So I would just say try and get yourself on set with someone as much as possible. So if that's like work experience, maybe to start off with, if you're not in a role where you can be exposed to it already, it might be something you have to explore, like a work experience. But yeah, trying to get around sets or in on sets and just like listening and watching is the best way to do it, because you really pick up like key like terms or how things are ran just by like watching and viewing. I've had a couple of people like message me about being on set and work experience. So yeah, if anyone in Leeds or Manchester is looking, message me, because yeah, it's so hard to get into if you're not already in a kind of role which exposes you to that, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I love that you just put that opportunity out there for people. That's going to be amazing.
And I need to learn to delegate, so it'll be as much for my development as them, because I'm not a very good delegator. So yeah. Great.
No, brilliant. It's so nice to see how you approach production as well, because like obviously I'm a producer, so seeing it from someone else's point of view, it's nice to see that we struggle with the same things, but also you know, some things are great for all of us as well. So yeah, it's really good to see.
No,
thank you.